God visits Avram, and Rashi explains, why did God visit Abraham? Because Abraham was circumcised, and Levaker Sachela, he was sick, and God visited him to visit the sick. Then Rashi quotes the Talmud, says Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina, this was the third day after circumcision, and God came to seek out his welfare. That's what Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina says, to seek his welfare, that's why God visited. Rashi seems to say the same thing in both phrases. First he says he comes to seek his welfare, and he quotes Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina, and he says it was the third day after circumcision, and God came to see how he's doing. It's the same thing, it's repetition. Why does Rashi repeat himself? So the answer is that Rashi is coming to tell us that we shouldn't interpret this visit the way Nachmanides does. Nachmanides says that whenever you visit someone, the Gemara says in the Darim, you take away some of their illness. Just a visit, you went to visit someone, that already takes away their illness. It says that visiting the sick removes 1/60th of illness. So I always thought, okay, 60 people to visit and then take away the whole illness, but it doesn't work that way. Apparently each person takes away a 60th, and then a 60th of that, a 60th of that. So, okay. So according to Nachmanides, why did God visit Abraham? God visited him to heal him. That's what you might think the purpose of God's visit was, to heal Abraham. So therefore Rashi says, no, it wasn't to heal Abraham. It was just to see how he's doing, just to seek out his welfare, just to be with him and to visit him, not to heal him. How does Rashi know that? Because it says later on, in the same few verses later, that 3 angels come. And one of the angels is coming, why? The angel Raphael, he's coming to heal Abraham. The purpose of his visit is to heal Abraham. So if God visited Abraham just before, it doesn't make sense to say that God came to visit him, take away 60th of the illness, and the angel came to take away the whole illness. It makes more sense to say that God's visit was not connected to healing him. Instead, God's visit was just to be with him, to check on him. So,
it's a
powerful idea, right? We're going to see soon how your surprise is very connected to the story of the Rebbe Rashab. We'll get to later. Okay, good. So, this helps us understand the Gemara in Sota. The Gemara in Sota says, in page 14, that page Yudalad, that God commands us in the Torah to cleave to his ways, to go in the ways of God. Just like God visits the sick, so must we visit the sick. The Gemara brings a proof from God's visit to Avram. God visited Avram to visit the sick, so must we visit the sick. The problem with this Gemara is, the Gemara says that it doesn't always work that when you visit someone who's sick, you take away something of their illness. You have to be Ben Gila, you have to be the same kind of person as the person you're visiting to take away their illness. What does Ben Gila mean? So there are 2 interpretations of Ben Gila. Either Bachar LaBachar, Vazakin LaZakin. Either a young man should visit a young man and an old man should visit an old man. That's how they take away the illness. An old man visits an old man, that takes away the illness, but a young man visiting an old man doesn't take away the illness. Or if you come from the same mazel, the same zodiac, if you both come from the same zodiac, then you take away the illness. The Gemara says. So it seems that you're not always obligated to visit the sick, right? It seems only if you could be effective and you could take away their illness, then you should visit them. So, but according to the way we explain Rashi, we learn that God did not take away anything from his illness. God just visited Avram just to see how he's doing, just to be with him. And that teaches us that even if you're not the same age, you're not the same mazel as a person you're visiting, you still have an obligation to do kindness to the person like Hashem. Hashem didn't visit Avram to heal him, he just visited him to be with him. So too, the mitzvah of visiting the sick is not connected to healing the person. It's just about being there with them. Even if you don't heal them at all, you still have a mitzvah just to be there with them.
So should everybody go with the family, with the kids, younger, and see which one is going to be faithful?
I don't know about that. Go with the whole family. Sometimes persons not well, they're not interested in the whole visit of the whole football team. It's interesting. The Gemara actually says certain people don't want visits. The Gemara says depends what kind of illness you have. I think the Gemara says stomachache people don't like visits. I think the Gemara says it very correctly. So
Because they get it.
Because they're in pain. They're in pain because they're in pain. Not because it's contagious. Because it's annoying to have a visit. Anyways, so the Tzemach Tzedek famously, when his grandson, Rabbi Cashapp, was 4 or 5, he came to see his grandfather. Rabbi Cashapp came to see Tzemach Tzedek. He was turning 4 or 5, and his birthday is the 20th of Cheshvan. And he came to his grandfather and he cried. He says, "Why is it that God appears to Abraham and God does not appear to me?" And his grandfather said, when a Jew is a tzaddik, is 99 years old, and he decides to circumcise himself, he deserves that God should appear to him. That's the story. So, according to our explanation we just gave, we could add a lot of depth to this story. The story is not just a story of a little child. It's a story of a tzaddik, and we know that a tzaddik, when they're young, they also could see their greatness. So this is a story which has a real content, a real meaning. And with this explanation that we gave into Rashi, we can get some insight into this story. On first glance, a couple of questions we hear the story. Question number 1 is, this was not the first time that God appeared to Abraham. God appeared to Abraham many times before this Torah portion. The words God appeared to Abraham are written several times. So why is it that the Rebbe Rashab is only upset when he reads this section of the Torah? Why wasn't he upset when he heard the first time that God appeared to Abraham? So, and the Tzemach Tzedek's response also seems to indicate that he was bothered specifically by this appearance. Because he says, well, he deserved it because he was at tzaddik in 99 and therefore he deserved it. He didn't say to him, why didn't you ask about last week? He said to him, well, this was unique, and I'm telling you why this is not meant for you, this was something special for him. But why about the first times that the Torah says that God appeared to Abraham? Another question is, isn't it obvious that a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, is not in the level of Abraham? Shouldn't the Rebbe Rashab have felt that God's visit to Abraham was unique? He's learning the Torah. He's learning every week what the Torah is saying about the greatness of Abraham, what Abraham did. Certainly he knew how great Abraham was. So why is it that he thought that he should be deserving of the same experience of Abraham? Abraham was a whole different level. Why do you think that he should have this revelation? Abraham is Abraham, he's not Abraham. Why was he crying? Why was he upset? But based upon what the Rashi we learned, we could answer the question. Why did God appear to Abraham? He appeared to Abraham because Abraham, not to heal him, just kindness. Abraham is sick, and God just has kindness to be there with him, not to accomplish something. There wasn't any utilitarian purpose of God's visit. Just to be there with him. It was just kindness. Says that Rabbi Rashab, wow, if God just visits Abraham just because of kindness, just because of love, I feel really bad that God doesn't appear to me. Shouldn't God appear to me? Because I'm like a sick person. I'm bothered that he doesn't appear to me. His kindness to Abraham should extend to me as well. So Rabbi Rashab responded, when a Jew at tzaddik is 99 years old, he deserves that God should appear to him. What was the Tzemach Tzedek answering? The simple answer he was saying to him was that simple answer he's saying to him was, Balaturim says, the reason Abraham merited to see God was because of the circumcision. That's what Balaturim says. So the Tzemach Tzedek was saying, you should know, yes, you had a circumcision, yes, you were circumcised, but Abraham, his circumcision was in a higher level. He was circumcised at the age of 99. So the Tzemach Tzedek's response, it seems you might want to say, well, the Rebbe Rashab thought he deserved it because he was circumcised. It says the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek said, no, this is a different kind of circumcision. But based upon what we learned, if you have a much better answer, because it doesn't make sense to say that the Rebbe Rashab learned the Balaturim. He was a child, a 5-year-old child, and learned Rashi. It makes sense to say his question was based upon learning Rashi. And since he learned Rashi, what did Rashi say? The reason why God visited Abraham was just because he felt bad. Oh, nothing to do with the circumcision, just because he felt bad. So what Tzemach Tzedek responded? Tzemach Tzedek responded that even yes, because of God's kindness he would appear to you, it's true, but in order to be a vessel for God's revelation, you have to do something. God's kindness, God's love extends to you too, yes. But in order to absorb, in order to be a vessel for that kindness, you have to be on a level. What's the level? The level is A Jew who is 99 years old and decides to circumcise, he deserves that God should appear to him. What's that level mean? It says in the Mishnah, when you turn 100 years old, as if you passed away and as if you are not in the world anymore. Now imagine a Jew who's 100 years old reading this. Imagine how he feels. He feels very upset. What's the point of making a guy feel bad and say, oh, if you're 100, it's as if you're dead? What's the point? I was reading this article yesterday about this man who came to America, and apparently on his passport he had said one age, or I don't know if it was the right age or not the right age, but he ended up meeting President Coolidge because he lived to 107 according to his passport, and so the president was very impressed, and he smoked and he drank, and he had many articles coast to coast about this man who's 107 years old, who was living. I don't know how old he was, probably in his 80s, who knows? But the question is, people can live past 100 too. What's the point of making a person feel bad at the age of 100? The answer is, the words the Mishnah uses are very precise. It says a person who is 100 years old as if they're batal min ha'olam. They're not part of the olam. What does the word olam mean? Olam means concealment. The world was built in a way that it hides, it conceals godliness. 100 years old doesn't mean literally 100 years. It means 100 levels. In Spiritual Omer, we rectifying every day the Spiritual Omer, one of the parts of our soul. And there's 7 attributes we talk about in Spiritual Omer, Chesed and Gevura, and then we talk about 7 attributes within those levels, Chesed of Chesed, Gevura, Gevura. So there's more. There are the attributes of emotions. There's also the 3 intellectual attributes. So there's 10 attributes, and each of the 10 is comprised of another 10. So we have 100 parts of our soul. A person who is 100 years old means someone who has perfected every part of his soul. So once a person achieves that full perfection of his soul, then he merits that the world doesn't conceal godliness anymore. Then he could see Hashem in this world. The Talmud says about the forefathers, they saw their world to come in this world. Said that's if you're 100. But if you're 99, you're missing 1, you still have arla. The word arla, which literally means foreskin, also literally means a concealment. If you're 99, you've only rectified part of your soul, a large part, 99% of it. You haven't done 1%, then there's still something missing. And Avram recognized it. Avram recognized that he, at the highest level he was on, or the next to the highest level he was on, he was still missing something. And because of that, he deserved that Hashem should appear to him. And this teaches us that no matter how high a person thinks they are, they need to go higher. And specifically when we make a move above where we were before, that's how we get in touch with our neshama. That's when Hashem appears to us. That's when we see Hashem's presence in our life. We go out of our comfort zone and go to a higher level. We were discussing yesterday Hashem's instruction to Avram, Lech lecha me'artza, go out of your land. There are 3 things that stop you from being on the journey to Israel, getting to where you're supposed to be in the world. One thing is your land. The second thing is your land. The third thing is your land. What do I mean? The word land is connected to earthiness, being involved in pettiness, being involved in simple things which are unbecoming. Paying attention to things which are not. What are you paying attention to that for? Another thing that can hold you back is your land. Your land means feeling low, feeling you're not really someone who deserves Hashem's trust. And Hashem didn't empower you to be His ambassador to bring His light and warmth and truth to the world. If you think of yourself as a shmata, as a rag, then you can't accomplish anything. The third thing that could stop you from getting to where Hashem wants to get in the world is your land. The word land means desire. That you're favoring your desires instead of God's desires. So if we don't, we're not ready to get out of our comfort zone. There's only so far we can go on the way to get to the land of Israel. But here we see from Avraham Avinu, how did he get to the land of Israel? How did he cause Hashem to reveal Himself to him? He wasn't satisfied where he was. He went as high as he was. He still went higher, and through that, godliness was revealed in him. So too is with us. No matter what we've achieved in life, can't be satisfied. We have to always go higher. And through this, we'll merit to have revelation of Hashem in our souls and the revelation of Hashem in the world, Bias Mashiach. Not just our personal redemption, but the embassy redemption, the real redemption, in Yerushalayim, with Mashiach. out of the what's that hotel you like over there? Out of the Waldorf in the Bais Hamikdash. L'chaim, l'chaim. Any questions? Yes.
Why always family or friends go to see the sickness? Not if it's somebody just here there is 60 people in this house, so you're not just walking and upstairs and knocking the door and say I'm coming to you because I heard you are sick. Never happens like that.
It should happen.
It should?
It should. Everyone should visit before a sick.
Because this guy is saying, oh, who are you?
No,
I
it
don't know
should
you.
be someone. It should be someone who the person shouldn't be frightened by your visit. They should go, who is this guy? But Jews are all family. So if you could definitely know someone who's not well. And if you go to the hospital, visit Jews in the hospital. You never met them before, but
You think that the sickness, the guy the sick is gonna have a passion for this guy coming and
depends. I go visit.
without calling.
I go to Cedar Sinai, and I visit someone who's sick, and I see the Jew in the hallway, and hear the Jew in the room. They're very happy. They have a visitor. Wow.
Because it's the rabbi.
If I'm rabbi,
the God comes to you.
if they see a fellow Jew coming, if they see a brother coming, you're a brother, your fellow Jew coming, you're also Kalimi. They say to you, oh, good, another Jew came to visit me. It depends. You have to, if someone's uncomfortable with your visit, of course you shouldn't visit him. If you know someone will appreciate it, that's a key. Question is, would they appreciate it? That's a question. Would they appreciate it? A new person visits a town. They move to town. So a nice thing to do is you bring them a welcome basket. Welcome to town. You know.
What I'm saying is the sickness have to do something good for people, for the person, for the this. So the guy comes and say,